How to calibrate your monitors is a key part of delivering loudness-compliant content. In this video, we're going to briefly look at how your monitoring should be configured, give an explanation of bass management and what the sub should be doing, before moving on to a practical demonstration of how to calibrate your monitoring with a sound pressure meter. But do not worry about the exact number. Instead, find the monitor level that works for you so that you naturally mix to the appropriate loudness spec with your ears. Also, it doesn't really matter if you're working in surround or stereo. The principles are the same, but for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to use a stereo system. All your speakers should be the same, whether you're working in stereo or surround or larger formats. However, on a surround system, if space or budget are constrained, then the front three speakers should be the same, but the surrounds could be smaller models from the same brand. Now, moving on to the subwoofer, even the name we use for this speaker can add confusion. Now, in surround, the LFE channel, the low frequency effects channel, requires the use of at least one subwoofer in the monitor system, but this should only be reproducing what's in the low frequency effects or the LFE channel. As audio professionals, we should try and avoid the use of bass management. Bass management is necessary when the main speakers are unable to handle the very low frequencies in normal audio content, usually because they're just too small. In this case, then the system is designed to redirect the very low frequencies to a subwoofer, a single speaker designed to handle very low frequencies. And because low frequency sound is not directional, it actually doesn't really matter that it's all coming from one speaker. Bass management and LFE are two very different issues that are often handled by the same speaker, especially in smaller systems, and that's where the confusion can come in. Monitor calibration is really important. Because our ears are excellent at perceiving loudness, if we set our monitoring so that we play sounds at the same level, then we'll naturally mix loudness-compliant content without having to be glued to the metering. We'll be able to work to that consistent loudness centre of gravity just using our ears. So to calibrate our monitors, we use a sound pressure level meter, but although there are some recommended levels for different sizes of rooms, my advice is not to feel bound by them. Essentially, the smaller the room, the lower your listening level should be. Now, unless you're mixing in a space the size of a movie theatre and that has similar acoustics, the normal 85 dB SPL will simply be too loud. Again, we're picking up a standard that's come from the film workflow, but most broadcast sound is not mixed in large film dubbing theatres. We tend to work in much smaller spaces, hence the smaller the room, the quieter your monitors will need to be. You can see from the table recommended levels for different sizes of mixing rooms. Use them as a guide to start off with, but don't feel tied to them. Start off with the most appropriate sound pressure level for the size of your room. Then start mixing and see how you get on. The key aim is to find a monitor volume that works for you, where you naturally mix loudness-compliant programs without looking at the metering. If you find that you've calibrated your monitors based on this table and your mixes come out too high or too low, then adjust your monitor volume by the corresponding amount until you mix bang on the mark. If you get this right, you should be able to mix content to within 1 LU of your target loudness, just using your ears. You'll need two things to calibrate your monitors: a pink noise file and an SPL meter. A low-cost meter like this one is absolutely fine. These meters usually come with a number of different weighting systems built into them, which are similar to, but of course different from, the K weighting that's used in the BS 1770 loudness standard. For calibrating your monitors, you should use the C weighting curve and the slow response setting. You can use an app on your smartphone, but be aware that they may not be calibrated, so won't give you an accurate reading. However, the ones on Apple devices tend to be more accurate because they can be calibrated to compensate for the mic in the device, whereas there are simply too many devices in the Android market. Now, pink noise is a signal that has equal power across each octave. In particular, you want to get a -20 dBFS pink noise file. Now, you can get this in a number of ways. One way may be to create it using a plugin in your DAW or nonlinear editor. For example, in Pro Tools, you can use the Signal Generator plugin. But we recommend that you download a useful set of test and calibration files from the monitor manufacturer's Blue Sky, and on their site they cover all the nitty-gritty of monitor calibration in much more detail. Now, the advantage of using the bandwidth-limited signals that are in the Blue Sky folder is that they limit many of the room interaction effects often associated with measuring sound pressure level using broadband pink noise. So my advice is that the bandwidth-limited signals are well worth using, especially if the acoustics in your space are not as good as you would like. So when you download the test files from Blue Sky, you get 4 files. You get a 1K file recorded at -20 dBFS for electrical calibration. You get a 40 to 80 Hz bandwidth limited pink noise file recorded at -20 dBFS. A 500 to 2.5K bandwidth limited pink noise also recorded at -20 dBFS. And a full bandwidth pink noise file recorded at -20 dBFS. Now, all these files are mono files, so what you need to do is to hard assign them to each output, in the case of this stereo system, to the left and then to the right. Don't use any form of pan control, and don't feed them to more than one channel at a time. Now, the reality of most setups these days is our reference is around -20 dBFS, so there's little need to use the 1K reference tone. You can go straight to the 500 to 2.5K bandwidth limited pink noise file. As my studio fits in the 40 to 140 cubic meter category, I'm going to demonstrate how I calibrate my monitors to 78 dBc SPL. Now, of course, if you're calibrating to other sizes of space, then you should use the appropriate SPL target. Set your main monitor to the appropriate point. The exact position will depend on your system and whether you have active or passive speakers. In this example, I have active speakers but an uncalibrated monitor speaker level. So I'm going to set the speaker level to a convenient point, and I've marked it so I can repeat the setting without having to remeasure. Now, you may have a calibrated control like this one on an Avid HD Omni. Then set the control to display the number you want to work at, say in my case 78 dB SPL. Then set your SPL meter on a stand at ear height at the position in the room where you would normally be sat. Effectively, it should occupy the space where your head would normally be. Now, rotate the SPL meter so it's looking at the first speaker, in this case my left-hand speaker. Assign the 500 to 2.5K bandwidth limited pink noise signal to just the left-hand channel. I'm going to use the Pro Tools routing so that I can be sure that it's only going to the left-hand channel and to no other channel. Now I can adjust the gain control on the monitor speaker so that the SPL meter reads 78 dB. In this case, I have Dynaudio Air 6 monitors, and I'm going to use the TC Control app to set the monitor level. If you have analog active speakers, then you should adjust the control on the rear of the speaker. And if you've got passive speakers, then make this adjustment on the front of the amp. Repeat this for each channel. In my case, the right-hand channel. But if you have a 5.1 monitor system, Then repeat for the centre, right, left surround and right surround until all the channels have been calibrated. And if you don't have bass management, then you're done. If you do have bass management, then feed the 40 to 80 Hz pink noise signal to the left-hand channel only, and adjust the subwoofer level control until the SPL meter reads 78 dB. Now, the meter will bounce around a little bit, so you'll need to make a sort of mental average. And I try and tend to sort of filter out the peaks in my mind so that I don't set the sub too hot. Check that when you feed the right-hand channel with the 40 to 80 Hz pink noise, you get a similar result. All being well, you shouldn't need to make an adjustment. You can now play the full bandwidth pink noise file, assigning it to the left and then the right channel, but of course not at the same time, and that should measure around 78 dB. It may be a little bit higher because below 30 Hz your room may have a little extra gain, but don't make any adjustments with the full bandwidth pink noise unless you have a real-time analyzer. But even then, I would say that the benefits of band-limited pink noise and a full bandwidth meter is the best way forward unless you really know what you're doing. There is also a speech sample from the ATSC, the standards authority that have set the loudness specifications for the US and Canada. And you should find that when you play back this speech sample over a calibrated system, it should play at a comfortable volume.
Ourselves completely sold on the theory that the picture was all in all, had no limitations.
And it's a useful, quick reference if you're not in a position to be able to calibrate your monitors before you start. Maybe you're a freelancer and you're working in a strange studio. Having that speech sample file to play back over a strange monitoring system and then set the monitoring volume to an appropriate level is a really useful backup. So once you've calibrated your monitors, you can start mixing content on the principle that if it sounds too loud, it will be too loud. And if it sounds too quiet, it will be too quiet. However, if in using your calibrated monitoring, you find that your mixes come out too loud, say 2LU high, then readjust your monitor calibration and bring the level up by 2 dBs. Then continue mixing and see if that fixes the problem. The key point here is to calibrate your monitors to suit you, not to a specific number.